Anyways. Hi everyone, my name is Happy Black Legends, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. Yeah, so never mind. Anyways, I squeezed some oranges. We're just living lavish today. Anyways, so so I wanted to talk about things that servers hate. Because I am a server. I'm a waitress or waiter, whatever. I really don't give a shit. And I honestly, overall, I think I enjoy being a waitress. I think part of that honestly has to do with the fact that I do work at a vegan restaurant, and the people I work with are amazing people, and I've met some of the most amazing people I've ever met at this job. So I think I really like it for those reasons. I don't know if I just like waitressing or if I just like working at this particular restaurant that I work at, but I think overall I enjoy it. I really like talking to people, and serving the food at the restaurant I work at feels really good because number one, it's food I believe in. Number two, I know it tastes really good. So I really enjoy, like, I feel pride bringing the plates and whatnot to people's tables because I know we're about to rock their whole world, and it's really nice to be a part of that. But being a waitress is not easy. It's hard, and I think there's a lot of things people don't know about serving. There's a lot of misconceptions people have about serving. I mean, before I became a waitress, I never really thought much about, like, when you're eating out at a restaurant, you don't think too hard about your server too often, but there's a lot that goes on behind your order, putting in the order, getting the food out, and then getting it to your table. There's a lot that goes on, and sometimes like the juxtaposition between what's going on in the kitchen versus what's going on in the dining room, it's just laughable. Like, I'm like, if only you knew the stress that I am in right now trying to get to your table. Like, if only you knew. And I want to give a general disclaimer. I'm an American and I work in the US, so maybe there are things on this list that where you're from are normal. Also, I do work at an ethnic restaurant, so there are some things that happen where I used to take it as rude, and then over time I just realized that's just a part of the culture, and then you just get used to it eventually. But so I just want to make that clear because I already can feel the people being like, well, where I'm from, and it's like, okay, but we're not talking about you. This is my channel. You clicked on this video. Like, what? Anyways. This is honestly my number one pet peeve. And it's not, in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that big of a deal. It's not that rude in comparison to maybe some of the other things on this list. But for some reason, when people do this, I get so enraged, and it makes me just not want to serve you at all. It's just so rude to me. I don't know how to describe it. But as I've gotten older, I have to burp myself like a fucking infant because, I don't know, I just can't burp anymore naturally like a human adult person. Anyways, basically, like, when people come in and I tell them where to sit down, and then they're like, they point to a dirty table and they're like, well, can we sit here instead? And it's like, I think that's just so rude. I don't know, because it's like, you could just have a seat at the open booth that is clean rather than make me like stop what I'm doing, clean up this particular booth that you want, and then sit down. And like 9 out of 10 times, these people are not nice. Like, usually these people that are asking you to sit at a dirty booth, they're usually not nice. I'm just going to be honest. Also, I don't know. I just think that's like, I think that's very telling of you, who you are as a person. I don't know. I just think that's really rude. And usually when this happens, it's during the middle of a rush. So it's never when we're like slow and I have time to actually clean the booth. It's when we're in the middle of a rush and like we just so happen to have a free table, but then they're like, "Oh no, can you clean this really dirty table while you're in the middle of doing something else?" And it's just like, "Ugh, you ungrateful hag. Just sit the fuck down, please, and enjoy your meal." You know? I don't know, there's just something about doing that to me that tells me you're a jackass. Am I wrong? I don't know. No, I'm not. I'm always right. So when I take your order and you tell me, I'm like, okay, so what'll it be? And then you're like, I want the soup, I want the salad, and I want the shrimp. And then I repeat back to you, you want the soup, you want the salad, you want the shrimp. And then you go, yeah, I want the soup, I want the salad, I want the shrimp. And I go, yep, you said that you wanted the soup, the salad, and the shrimp. I go back into the employee area, boop, 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 boop. I input the soup, the salad, and the shrimp. I bring the soup, the salad, and the shrimp to your table. In confusion, you look around. Your face, confused, filled with anger. You point at me. Hey, where are the egg rolls that I order? I smile and say, egg rolls? Remember we said the soup, the salad, the shrimp? And you say, no, you forgot my order. That pisses me the fuck off. Sometimes what'll happen is they'll have ordered something with someone else, but usually when I take someone's order, I repeat everything back. Also, this is like a side note, but when I bring the food to someone's table and I'm like, here you are, here are your spring rolls, and then no one says anything, like they all just stare at the food, but no one says anything, like not thank you, not like, yep, the spring rolls, here we are. Like when they just sit there and stare, that fills me with so much anxiety because automatically I assumed that I brought it to the wrong table. So I'll usually like take it back and I'll be like, did you guys order the spring rolls? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, like, why did you stare at me? Like, I'm like, why didn't you say anything? I don't know. That might be super duper small. That doesn't irritate me. It usually makes me laugh, but it just makes me nervous when like I bring something to a customer's table and they don't say anything and they're just like staring at it. Because then I'm like, okay, is this not what you ordered? Because it's just super awkward. So I'm always just like, give it back. Like coming in before we're open or after we're closed. This isn't just like waitressing. Anyone who's worked any sort of minimum wage job understands what this is like. I used to work at an adult entertainment store. We sold like DVDs, toys, lingerie, things like that. And the owner of that store, she literally gave us permission to tell people to get the fuck out. Like, I'm not mincing my words. Like, once it was 10 p.m., bitch, we're closed. Like, and when I'm talking 10 p.m. on the dot, we have already turned off the lights and locked the door at that point. You know what I mean? Like, we are closed. So if people walked in at 9:50, I'm sorry, we're closing. Please get out. See you tomorrow. I'm serious. Like, so that was like one of the only jobs I've had where I was like actually allowed to tell people to like leave. But most other minimum wage jobs, if someone walks in after we're closed or like before we're open, your manager, your boss is probably going to expect you to like help them out even though like you're closed, and that's incredibly fucking rude. And honestly, I will tell people we're closed. So I will turn people away. But like my manager and then the owner, they'll let people sit down, they'll like serve them, and I'm like, look, if you want to do that, that's great, but I don't have time. Especially more so, I think it bothers me more when I have to open because I'm oftentimes the opener. So there's things I have to do. There's things I have to clean. There's food I have to prep. Maybe I have to make sauces. Maybe there's reservations that I have to set up, you know, like. And so when you come in while I'm in the middle of opening and then expect me to like get you water, get you menus, like that is so rude and annoying. And also like, come on, like that's just total jackassery. I just think you're a jackass if you do that, honestly. And at this point, like Recently, I've been noticing the past few months, Google made it so that if you Google like a restaurant or a store, Google tells you like they're closing soon or they're closed. So if you had to use Google, if you had to look us up in order to get your ass to our restaurant, you knew we were closed. So that, I think, is really what pisses me off, because it's like our hours are on the Google. Like, there is no reason for you to be doing all this. Like I mentioned, I work at a vegan restaurant, and sometimes people think they're really funny and they make all sorts of weird vegan jokes. Usually it's men. Usually it's men of a certain being. And yeah, usually it's men of a certain being, and it's always cringy, it's always really annoying, and they expect you to laugh for some reason, and it's very weird. And I this is funny. Now, this actually is kind of funny. Sometimes people will come to the restaurant, they'll sit down, we'll bring them water, they'll look at the menu, they'll begin to order, and then they'll ask me for something, and I'll be like, oh, we don't have that here. And they'll be like, oh, why not? And I'm like, well, this is a vegan restaurant. And then they're like, oh, did you say vegan? And they'll like grab all their things and run out the door. Like, okay, I was being dramatic, obviously, but I'm not playing. People will like leave with the quickness of it all. They will leave. And that's always so funny to me. I don't know, that is very interesting to me. I was telling someone earlier today that I grew up in a household where vegetarian options and like faux meats and milk alternatives were common. So it's really weird to me when people are so against trying vegan food. Like, why don't you just try it? Especially at the restaurant that I work at, because we have something for everybody. If you want like lots of vegetables, lots of greens, lots of like, you know, nuts and just big salads, we have that. But if you want fried like fish, if you want like meat and rice and just good-ish, we have that. It's just all vegan. And honestly, most of our customers aren't vegan. They come and they just enjoy the food. But it's always so interesting to me when people are so against trying vegan food. I don't really understand that, because people will say vegan food is just salad, but then they'll turn their noses at vegan mock meats and like alternatives. It just doesn't really make sense to me. I don't know, especially because vegan mock meats have been around for such a long time. It's just newer to us, but it's not new to this world. I don't know. That's just always interesting to me. And then on the flip side, when people will try to bring meat into the restaurant. If you can't have meat for one meal, we have food for everyone. We have like the unhealthy junk food like fried stuff, we have the healthy stuff, we have rice, we have soups, we have really nice decadent desserts, we have smoothies, we have juices. So it's just very weird to me that people try to sneak in meat. That's very weird. I don't know. And that is disrespectful. It's very disrespectful and it's gross. Showing up to a restaurant with 10 of you motherfuckers with no reservation and expecting to be seated. Like, there's, okay. Calling ahead of time and being like, hi, there's 10 of us, we're on the way. That's rude. But at least you gave us a heads up. But just showing up to a restaurant with like 20 of you and expecting to be seated and to be served in a timely manner with no reservation is crazy. Like, that is so rude. And people do that all the time. And I've never experienced that in my life. My mom growing up, that woman raised me right, honestly. Like, there was only four of us usually, maybe sometimes five or six of us, but usually there was only four of us going someplace. She always made a reservation for everything. Like, that's what I thought you were supposed to do. No matter where you went, I thought you were always supposed to make a reservation. But like, I do not understand that. Like, and then expecting to be serviced in a timely manner, like that, it gets me heated. It gets me heated. That just pisses me the fuck off. That is so rude. That is so annoying. It is so rude. But I brought that up to say, because one time I was working a double shift and it was Saturday and I was over it. I was tired. I was over it. I was so tired. And it was my second shift of the day. So basically, I'm like out of breath because I get so mad thinking about people that do that. Like it literally does something to me. Anyways, these people of like, I think it ended up being like 11 or 12 of them, but they originally only told me like 9. So every time I would go out to give them something, there would be like 2 more people. And they would just take chairs from other tables and just keep adding. And I was just like, you guys are literally the worst people ever. And they ordered so much food. Everyone was eating. Everyone was happy. And then all of a sudden, I go out there and I see the kids are eating Carl's Jr., which was so weird because just a minute ago, the kids were like fighting over, like, we have vegan shrimp and then we have like this dish, like this fried rice dish, and it has like chicken in it and more shrimp. And like I said, like, there are people who come to the restaurant, they eat their entire meal and they didn't know it was vegan until the very end once we told them. So like, our food is really good, and I feel like if you love meat, you're probably still gonna love our food because the faux meats are just insane. They're really, really well done. So the kids were like eating it. So I was like, why would you give them Carl's Jr.? And it was just so frustrating because so every time I would go out there to give them like plates or cups or whatever, they would keep ordering things. And then they ordered like a bunch of dishes for the kids specifically, and the kids were eating them. It wasn't like the kids were, because some parents come and they're like, oh, my kid's not going to eat vegetables. Ugh. And I'm like, bitch, we literally have chicken nuggets on the menu. Like, shut up. Like, anyways, it was just so weird. And at this point, I was at like my wit's end with these people because they had just done so many things that just really get on my nerves. Like one of my biggest pet peeves too is when like I come to your, like, okay, so I drop off your food and then I ask you if you want any sauce and you say yes. I go grab whatever sauce you want. You want sriracha? Fine. Here's your damn sriracha. I don't say it like that, but yeah, here's your sriracha. And then you're like, oh, can I get napkins? I go grab your napkins. And then you're like, oh, can I get some more water? And then I go grab your water. And then you're like, oh, I need a new fork. That irritates my soul. Just tell me what you need in one swoop. Stop making, this is not like the fucking Olympics. I'm not about to just run back and forth between the kitchen, the back area, and your table. Like, that is, and usually after the second time I go back to your table, what I'll say is there anything else I can grab for you? So that's like kind of, the polite way of saying, bitch, you better tell me what the fuck you want right now. Like, that's the polite way of saying that. And then usually people kind of get the message, and then they're like, oh no, that's it. That's all. Because it's just like, you've asked me like 3 or 4 times now for like all these different things. Like, why didn't you just tell me in one thing what you needed? Like, so that was one thing that they did. So at this point I was like, I do not want to ask them to remove the meat because I knew if I said it, it would not come out very polite. So my coworker and my best friend, she goes out, and she is not vegan. Okay. So she's not vegan. She loves her seafood. She loves her sushi. She is not vegan at all. And she goes out there and she has like a very sweet, like polite voice. And so she bends over and is like, hi, is that meat? Can you not eat that here? Because it'll make people sick. Just the way she said it was so funny. And immediately the family was super embarrassed and they like cleaned everything up. They quickly ordered desserts and like quickly left. It was like they were gone within like 20 minutes. Like they just like they just got the fuck out of town. Like got out of Dodge. Like whatever the hell I just said. If you see me dealing with another table, why are you waving at me like I am some dog? Can't you see I am holding a platter of food? I am talking to a table. Like can't you tell that I am not available? And you yelling, "Hey, hey," and waving is not going to make me come to you any faster. One thing I do sometimes, I'm not going to lie, if I'm trying to get something done and I don't want to be interrupted by customers, I will just turn on my New Yorker and I will just look straight ahead and I will bolt. I won't, like sometimes I do run, I'm not going to lie, but I will just power walk through the dining room and avoid eye contact and just stare straight up. Like theater kids might know what I'm talking about, but when you stare like at a certain point and you just make that like your point, what's that word? I don't know. Anyways, that's what I do. I'll just stare and and people will be like, "Hey, hey," and I'm just I don't do that often, but if I'm like super busy and if we're like short staffed and I'm like and if you're rude and mean, when people order to go and they have all these demands and then they come and pick up their order but they don't tip, that gets on my nerves. Like not tipping in general is very rude. If you are in America, American servers expect you to tip at least 15%. That is just the truth of the matter. Yes, you can argue for higher wages, and I, as a waitress, am a fan of higher wages, but since we do not have higher wages, you are expected to tip. Like, that is just the tea, that is just the truth. And when people say, like, I can't afford to tip, if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to use, then you cannot afford your meal. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't know, because I am not like rich by any means, but I use Lyft, I use Instacart. People will call in to order and they'll make like a lot of demands. Like they'll want a fuck ton of extra sauces. They'll want things bagged separately. They'll want us to prepare something a certain way. And then when they come and pick up their order, they do not tip. Like that is just so rude. This week, actually, this dude came in while I was on my break and the owner was there. And like I said, like she'll let people sit down and order and she'll go in the kitchen and cook them a meal, even if we're closed. And if if she wants to do that with her time, that's fine. But when it's my time to rest, I really need that time to rest in between shifts, you know? And he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to be interrupting your break," because I had to ring him up and I shouldn't say anything. And I was like, "Your total's 10 something." And he did not tip at all. And I was like, that is incredibly rude. Like, especially if we're doing something special for you, like if you're coming in after we're closed, or if we're giving you all this extra stuff and we're, doing all this stuff and you just ghosting, like that is just so rude. People do this a lot. And I just think it is so rude. People will walk into the kitchen. They will walk into like the servers area and will ask us for things and will like demand things. I've never done that in my entire life. I think the only time maybe I've ever done something like that is if it was someone's birthday and I was like, "Hey, can we order some dessert and can y'all sing happy birthday?" Like that's the only time I can think of doing something like that. Or I'll just wait till that person like leaves the table and goes to the restroom. But like just walking up to the servers while they're in the servers area, number one, is extremely dangerous because it is usually slippery, it's wet, we're carrying hot dishes, you're in our way. Number two, I just think like that's just so rude. Like, is it really that big of a deal that you got to come up to the servers area and like interrupt our space? Like, it's employees only area. Like, you should not be back here. Like, number one, for safety, but number two, you're just a jackass. Like, but yeah, like, get out of here. What are you doing? But what are you doing? I mentioned this a little bit earlier, so I'm not going to dwell on it too hard. Rushing me for your food is just so rude. It is so rude. Like, and I don't mean like, okay, if you've been waiting like 15, 20 minutes for something and you're like, hey, where is this item? That is a little annoying, but that's different. But like, people will come in to place an order to go, and I'll tell them the wait time is 20 to 25 minutes, and they'll go, well, can I get it in 15? And I'll say no. And they'll say, well, can you ask them to make it a little faster? And I'll say, person, like, I usually call people king or queen, or I'll say, you know what, I'm sorry, but like, no, like, there's orders ahead of yours. I can't just place your order. Like, unless you are ordering like something specific, then it just might so happen to come out quicker than the other orders if that station isn't overrun. But like, if you want to order, like let's say for example, there's a large to go order ahead of this person's order, and in this large to go order there's a bunch of fried items, and this one person is just trying to order one fried item, they're just going to have to wait, unfortunately. But if that large order has no fried items, then maybe their order will come out faster. But just to cover our own asses, we always tell people a little bit longer just in case, something happens. But that is so rude to me, like, just being like, well, can I get it now? Can I get it faster? Like, no, you cannot. Like, like, no, you can't. Like, there's nothing I can do. That's just so weird to me. Yeah, I don't understand that. And then, like, when people come in to eat and then they place their order with me at the table and they're like, yeah, I have to be somewhere, so can you guys hurry up with my food? It's like, why are you coming to sit down and eat if you have somewhere to go? Like, that just don't make no sense. Like, and I'll usually tell people, well, there are a few orders ahead of yours, so we'll do the best that we can. Or, well, I don't really say that. My coworkers say that, but I'll usually say, like, your food will come out when it comes out. But I say it in a much nicer way. But that's, no, your food will come out when it comes out. Like, and this is probably the final last thing that gets on my nerves, is when people leave trash at their table. That is so rude. That is rude and it's gross. And then especially leaving masks. Like, I understand forgetting a mask, but some people will crunkle up their mask and throw it on top of a plate. Who raised you? Were you raised by the gutter? That is disgusting. That is so gross. Are you kidding me? In the middle of a panaderia? Like, that is so gross. That's disgusting. It's disgusting and you're disgusting. You are disgusting inside and out. Your soul is bad, and that is so rude. Every time someone like if you want to be really nice to your server, if you stack all your plates and your bowls and your cups and you leave them at the end of the table, we love people like that. We love people like that. And we remember you. We remember you in the future. And we love people like that. People who do that, I'm just always like, thank goodness for these people. You are keeping the economy afloat. Like, you are giving me the hope I need to keep this train chugging along. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but anyways, all in all, like I've said, I really do love serving. I love being a waitress. I love working at the restaurant that I do. Um, I've also been cussed out at. I've had people try to stay like 30 minutes after we're closed and get annoyed with me for asking them to leave even though we're closed. And like, I would like to go home since I've been here all day. And they actually get mad at me for asking them to leave even though we're closed, you know? I've had people say all sorts of things. And I've seen people do things working this job that I've never seen before. And I've worked in politics and I've worked at an adult entertainment store. So that's just me saying that on that period. But let me know what you guys think. If you are a waiter or a server or a waitress, comment down below what you think about your job, if you enjoy being in the service industry. Yeah, if you are not a server and you stumbled on this video, let me know what you thought about what I had to say. Um, Again, like, you're just never going to know what it's like until you actually do it, you know? So I never knew what it's like to serve until I actually did it. This is my very first like restaurant job ever. So it's been a very interesting learning experience, and I've learned things that I just could not believe about like restaurants and the restaurant business. And now when I go out to eat, I'm very patient because I get what it's like to be back there. Like, so anyways, that is this video. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like. If you really, really enjoyed this video, please feel free to follow me on the gram or Twitter or on my Patreon. All the links for that are down below in my Linktree link. But as always, y'all, a huge thank you to my patrons, my YouTube members, and my subscribers for your endless support. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. And I will see you in the next one. Alrighty, y'all. Bye.